Hi everyone, welcome back to Wilde Reads. My name is Dave. Today is the second video in my looking back at the Booker series, and today we're going to be looking back at the first year that the award was given out, 1969. Roll the titles. Hi everyone, welcome back. As I said in the introduction, this is the second video in my looking back at the Booker series, and today we're going to be looking at the first year that the prize was awarded, which was 1969. Okay, so the judging panel for 1969 was W.L. Webb. He was the literary editor of the Guardian newspaper. David Farrar, Frank Kermode, Stephen Spender and Dame Rebecca West. Now it was Dame Rebecca West who had a huge influence on the judging for the 1969 Booker Prize. Okay, this being a booktube channel, let's have a look at the books. Let's have a look at the shortlist for the 1969 Man Booker Prize. The first on the shortlist is a book by Barry England. This was published by Jonathan Cape, and it was called Figures in a Landscape, and it's about two prisoners of war make a daring escape from their captors, fleeing across a hostile and alien terrain towards safety across the border, more than 400 miles away, equipped with only the few supplies they were able to steal and with nothing to fall back on but their courage and determination to survive. McConaughey and Ansel suffer almost unimaginable horrors as their bodies are pushed by heat, hunger and exhaustion to the limits of endurance, and all the while they are pursued on foot by enemy soldiers from above by a black helicopter hovering in the sky, menacing and waiting. Next on the list, a book called Impossible Object. This was published by Hodder and Stoughton, and it was by the author Nicholas Mosley. And the blurb on this says, "The object of life is impossible. One cuts out fabrication and creates reality. A mirror is held to the back of the head, and one's hand has to move the opposite way from what it was intended." And this book is a collection of 8 loosely interconnected stories. Next on the list is The Nice and the Good from Iris Murdoch, that was published by Chatto and Windus. A revolver shot rings through a Whitehall office one hot afternoon in the middle of an English summer. A government official has apparently shot himself, but the circumstances are questionable, prompting Octavian Gray, head of the department in which the dead man worked, to investigate. Lawyer John Duquesne is charged with the task, interviewing other civil servants by day and by night, attempting repeatedly and unsuccessfully to break up with his mistress. When Duquesne travels to Gray's Dorset home, everything becomes even more mysterious and nothing is quite as it seems. I think out of all the books on this shortlist, I think this one rings out as the one that would most interest me as a reader. I know there are quite a few Iris Murdoch fans out there, so if you've read The Nice and the Good or any of these books that appeared on this shortlist, then please let me know in the comments below. The next up on the list is a book by Muriel Spark. This is called The Public Image, and this was published by Macmillan, and the blurb says on the back, "It is set in Rome and concerns Annabelle Christopher, an up-and-coming film actress. Annabelle carefully cultivates her image to keep her career on course, managing to mask her lack of talent, but she reckons without her husband Frederick's loathing of his wife's manipulations and inexplicable success, for which he plans his final revenge." The novel inspired the name of the band Public Image Limited, which John Lydon formed in 1978, following the breakup of the Sex Pistols. The next book on the shortlist is a book by Gordon Williams, and this is called From Scenes Like These, and this is published by, or was published by, Secker and Warburg. The thing about these books is, and the real shame is, a lot of these early Booker books have long gone out of print, except I think the Iris Murdoch book and certainly the Muriel Spark book are certainly back in print, and recently on the socials I saw all the Muriel Spark books have been reprinted and have got these nice funky new covers on them. But so this is Gordon Williams, From Scenes Like These, and the blurb says, "From Scenes Like These tells the tragic story of Duncan Logan, a young man growing up in rural Scotland after World War II. His life is disfigured by violence and drunkenness, and he can't find an outlet for his undoubted talent." That's the only sort of information I can find on this book. Again, this book seems to be sadly out of print. And the winner of the I feel like I'm announcing the winner some 50 years later. But the book that won the 1969 inaugural Booker Prize was P.H. Newby, Something to Answer For. Now I've been wanting a first edition copy of this for years and years and years, and I was bidding on one. In fact, I think twice in recent years I've started to bid on one when a first edition has cropped up on eBay. These go for £300–400. But the good news is, because this year is the 50th anniversary of the Booker, they do plan, and they're running this competition, the Man Booker Challenge, to see who, if you can read all the winners of the Booker. There's not a lot of time to do it. Faber have reprinted P.H. Newby's book, and it's on the Faber Finds imprint, and it is available, I think it's about 15 quid. So, Something to Answer For. On the Faber website it says P.H. Newby's 17th novel, Something to Answer For, was assured of a place in literary history when it won the inaugural Booker Prize in 1969. It was 1956 and Town Row was in Port Said. Of these two facts he is reasonably certain. He had been summoned by the widow of his deceased friend, Ellie Corey. She is convinced Ellie was murdered, but no one seems to agree with her. What of Leah Strauss, the mistress, and of the invading British paratroops? Only an Englishman surely would take for granted that the British would have behaved themselves. In this disorientating world, Town Row must realise the rules by which he has been living his life, to wonder whether he too may have something to answer for. Now, I think it's a real shame that the book, and this book's been out of print for decades, I think it's a real shame that the first ever winner of such a major prize has been sort of left languishing, really, and out of print. I am surprised that it ever went out of print at all, really. It just hasn't sold well over the years, and it was quite a surprising winner. Now, P.H. Newby was a controller, as well as being a novelist. He was a controller at the BBC, and he used to control a programme called The Third, I think it was called The Third Programme. And as I said earlier, there was no party, there was no Man Booker party. He was notified by letter in the post, and the prize money was £5,000. The winner, the P.H. Newby winner, Something to Answer For, I think it was a bit of a risky choice, but it was one the majority of the committee settled on. I think it's interesting to think that if those 6 books were judged today, if they were shortlisted for the Booker Prize today and with a different committee, and this is probably the same with all literary prizes, these judges had only read 60 books for this, not like the 200 plus that they plough through today in today's literary prizes. It's interesting to think that, and again it's the same with any literary prize, that if you take 6 books and 6 different committee members, you would probably get a different winner every time. So that was it. That was the 1969 Booker Prize. What I'm really interested to find out is that have any of you read this? Now, I expect there are quite a few people who have read the Iris Murdoch book and indeed the Muriel Spark book, but have you read The Winner by P.H. Newby? So if you've read any of those shortlisted books, or indeed The Winner, then please let me know in the comments below. That's all I've got for you today. That was the 1969 Booker Prize. I will be back on Wednesday with another video. Not quite sure what I'm going to be back with on Wednesday yet. I will be back. It's probably about time I did a book haul. I haven't done a book haul for ages, and I have accumulated lots of books. So whatever you're doing this week, enjoy your books. And I will see you back here on Wednesday for another BookTube video. Until then, take care. Bye-bye.